What's going on, everybody? We're back for another edition of Dynasty Talk Podcast. I am Potent. I am with Fly Society and Let the Wookiee Win. What's going on, guys?
I need a new catchphrase like that
Yeah, I
for
just
the
need to
intro.
get I need to get better at my catchphrase. Is what I need to do.
Well, we had an exciting season. That was season number 6, if I remember correctly. So we are going into season 7, or am I wrong on that?
No, that was 7. We're about to go to 8.
Jesus Christ! All right, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we are on season 8. It's been 8 years. The little dynasty little dynasty league that we never thought would actually exist, and now we're going on 8 years. So that's something. But let's go ahead and jump right in. We had a rule change. The rule has been changed going forward. The rules committee jumped in, said this was a dumb rule, and they've obstructed that rule and changed it and dismantled it. And now we have a new rule. And the rule is that you can have a full roster on draft day as long as you get to your roster to 24 spots by the certain time frame post draft. Do I have that rule correctly? Rules committee.
it's essentially if you are under the draft allotment, then your roster can reflect the lack of picks that you have. But if you are over, so let's say like Chris, who's got I don't know 50 picks this draft, he does
Yeah,
not have to be at like the same allotment for his draft picks until after the draft.
trying to
We're
figure
at
out
what 24?
I think I guess a more numbers way to explain it. Like I think I have 9 picks, so I don't have to drop from 25 to 16. I can just drop from 25 to 19 like everybody else. Or that's assuming you have the IR spot, and I can still pick my 9 picks. I just have to get down to the 25 before the season starts.
Gotcha. Before the season starts, is that the timeline we're going to go with?
That's was that. I mean, to me, that's my thought. As long as there has been no football played, then yeah, I think we should still be able to drop if we're doing that same way with the draft. If you can wait until the second before the draft to drop, should be roughly the same thing.
Yeah, that seems fair to me. I mean, it creates more of some larger rosters in the offseason for sure.
Yeah,
But doesn't bother me in the slightest. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think we've gotten to the point now where a lot of our picks in the 5 rounds, majority of them are rookies anyway, and the players that we are picking up that are not rookies are not players that are dropped from teams very often. Obviously, we had the AJ Brown exception years ago, but I don't think that's going to happen again in this league going forward. But yeah, don't think it would affect us negatively. I think it's only a positive. It's only a win. Anything else to say on that rule change?
yeah. I just think it makes it brings more benefit to trading draft picks like that. Because like I was been thinking before we did this, I'm like, damn, I'm gonna figure out how to trade 4 draft picks. Now I can actually use them.
Right. Well,
It
I
doesn't
know there's
punish
also
rosters.
Yeah,
yeah, I think it adds more customization to like how you strategize as well. And I think we're in a point now where between the not necessarily tanking, but losing teams, trying to make the most out of their draft capital, I think that it also makes it a lot easier for us to have different strategies with changing rosters all around them. So I think that does allow us to adapt with the league and what the league's turned into. But yeah, well, I know the other proposed rule change is that we move the draft forward and we start having the draft earlier in the season. I believe what Chris had mentioned earlier is that he would like to see it as early as right after the actual NFL draft. How do you guys feel about that?
yeah. So like I obviously we're gonna keep it the way we have it this year, but like yeah, I've been in the corner of moving it up for at least a year now. But yeah, I'm a fan of doing it. Like I know a lot of things and the stuff that I've listened to, they do it the day after the draft, like the following Monday. It puts a lot more, I guess, pressure on the draft picks. It's a lot easier to screw up if you are betting everything on someone just because of the team they're on, and it's a lot more based on. You actually have to watch college football. It feels more like you're managing a team, in my opinion, when you do it that early, and it's more of a your wins are going to feel so much better, but your losses are going to hurt so much more. So, um, yeah, that's my reasoning for why I wanted to do it. But any time
I'm
frame is
definitely
fine.
good. Yeah, I'm definitely good with moving it up. I don't know if I want to necessarily do it the day after the draft.
I get that
But
that's a little
you know,
irrational, but yeah.
but like yeah, I think rookie mini camp's like a week or two after it. Like we want to knock that out, get a little intel, and
Yeah.
draft. Like let's go.
Like I'd be
So
fine with
I'm
us
all for moving it up.
yeah, like us drafting Friday would be fine with me, like before July.
Hmm.
Preferably before July. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I've always been in this camp. You're preaching to the choir here. I've always wanted to do it as early as possible. But yeah, I think I'm glad to see you guys are coming around on this idea, and I'm all for it. So I don't see this rule proposal getting shot down because I think we're kind of all on board, the people that are actually making the decisions. So I can see that
yeah.
happening next year by
And
the
that's
sound of it.
at some point during the year we'll put it up to a vote to make sure everybody else is on board with it. But yeah, I think it's one of those that'll probably change, at least from the people I've talked to that are in our league.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody actually said that they would not like that at all. But I'm
Yeah.
sure if we talk to Max, I'm sure Max would have a problem with it regardless, just to be the outlier in the group. Well, anything else to talk about on that subject?
Nah, I think that's it.
Well, let's move right along. We had some trades in the offseason, some pretty big ones, especially that one between me and Ricky recently, trading future fifth round pick for a current fifth round pick. I thought that was massive. What was your guys' thoughts on that trade? I know it almost didn't get approved.
I believe the quote was, "Do we care about this?"
That did sound like the exact quote, actually. So, well, looking back, I know we had a real big trade a little while ago. That was, I believe, the Joe Mixon trade. That trade was big. I know that Max gave up a lot of draft capital for Joe Mixon. I can't find that trade off the top of my head, but if you guys remember exactly what it was, I will go ahead and jump right in.
No, I don't remember.
I don't either actually. I'm actually trying to pull that
I mean,
up.
Yeah.
I remember Ajo mixing trade, just not that one specifically.
Oh, I just found it. Here it is. So Max gave up a first round pick, which I believe ended up being the second pick in the draft
Yeah,
for a third round and also a third round pick for a future second, a future third, Elijah Moore, and Joe Mixon. So Tom gets the second pick in the draft in return for Joe Mixon, Elijah Moore, and future draft capital.
I don't understand.
yeah, not necessarily now with all the Joe Mixon stuff going on, but like as long as yeah, yeah,
Do you think Elijah Moore made a big impact in that as well?
maybe. But to me, I that's another one though. Like I think he's good, but once again, like that's it's a lot to pay for something that I really don't know what I'm getting.
I mean, the second round pick, getting that back in return does kind of make this make a little more balanced, I guess.
Yeah, you're right.
Um, that second round pick is next year, by the way, and it is Tom's pick, a player who this year's draft was picking at 8. So, I mean, you're looking at 208 next year in return. Also, a third round pick this year. So, pretty much they traded a third round pick this year for a third round pick next year. Both picks are Tom's as well. So, I guess Max already had one of Tom's picks. So, really, what you're looking at here is that Tom is paying to move up from 208 to 102, and he's giving up Joe Mixon and Elijah Moore in the process.
It's not too bad.
I just
Yeah.
feel
Honestly,
like
I
I
mean,
just feel like if you're gonna give up the second pick, you gotta get a little more.
yeah, you got
If
to
you're
get
gonna, if you,
you're giving up a foundational piece probably, so you should probably get one in return. Because like at this point, we're far enough along. Like you're giving up most likely Jameer Gibbs or Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like, do you really think Joe Mixon and Elijah Moore are going to be better than either one of them in the next 3 years? I don't.
Yeah, I don't know if Max knows this, but I'm sure you guys probably do. Joe Mixon's only game last year that made him relevant was that 4 touchdown game. So and without off field stuff as well, I mean I just don't think it's gonna be I don't think it's gonna be a winning move. But I mean it also could bring him back. But also at the same time Max is in not necessarily a rebuild, but he's not in win now mode either. So I really don't understand this move, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was shocked just because I thought he was in more of a rebuild, and the second pick was going to be something that you couldn't get. So
Yeah, I don't think I have any answers for us on that one, but let's move on to the next trade. That was you, Malcolm. You gave up. Looks like you gave up Jeff Wilson, a third round pick, and a fourth round pick in this draft for. No, do I have this backwards? I apologize.
No, I think that's right.
Yeah, so for you got Tyler Lockett and Jordan Love and a fourth round pick in return.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, yeah, I do have this right. Okay. What's your thoughts on that trade now, looking back? I know nothing's happened since then, obviously, but it was back in April.
Oh no. Yeah, it was Jeff Wilson. Fife was basically, I guess, trying to lock up the Dolphins running back situation because he had Mostert, whatever his name is. But but yeah, Jordan Love took a little flyer on him. Maybe he's good. We'll see. I need a backup quarterback anyways, and Tyler Lockett, we know I have a complicated relationship with, but he's good, I guess. Right? I kind of flipped a week later. So he wasn't on Team Plus aside for long.
Yeah, I don't think you gave up a lot here at all. I don't think that your third round pick or your fourth round pick were really anything to really worry about. Both picks were Fife's picks as well. It looks like not even yours. It's very confusing to read it this way on Sleeper, but anyway, yeah, I think Jordan Love could be, that could be a gigantic league winner kind of pick. He could end up being a stud for all we know. We haven't really seen Jordan Love outside of 2 games from last year, so um,
I'm not
yeah,
banking on it. I don't think it's highly reasonable to think that's gonna happen, but whatever. It's a flyer, you know. It didn't
yeah,
cost me anything really.
yeah. Well, 4 days before that, a trade was made between me and Fife. That was Debo Samuel. I traded him for the sixth pick in the draft coming up, as well as Fife's third round pick next year and his third round pick in 2025. So that all of that for Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel turning 28 this year.
I mean, I
Yeah,
think it's a great pick for you. I mean, a
yeah.
great trade for you.
I understand Fife. He's in the mode where it's like every piece matters if he wants to win again. And I get it. Once you win one, you really want to win again. like, um,
Yeah, yeah.
um. So yeah, I like from his perspective. Like I get it. Like I have no. But yes, just on paper, yeah, he won that trade. But if he wins the championship, he wins the trade.
Yep, exactly.
like so
Yeah,
it, that
honestly,
might
I think it's going to benefit both.
that might be enough for him to win it again. So
Yeah, that's going to be his third or fourth receiver. Looking at his team as well, he's got
yeah,
Jamar Chase and Stephon Diggs. You're absolutely right. He's in win now mode, and he thinks that might be a player that could put up 25, 30 points in a win now game, and that could put him over the top and get him back where he needs to be again. Fife hasn't done. I don't think Fife had ever been to a conference finals until then, or a semi championship until then, whatever we call it here in this league. But anyway, that was the bigger trades. I know I'm trying to find that next trade. I know Malcolm then traded Tyler Lockett right again. And that trade will be the next one, I'm guessing.
I mean
Let's
if you
try to lock in like late round picks for Pat Fryermuth was
Yep,
basically the
I
trade.
just found it.
yeah
You got Pat Fryermuth in return. You gave up a 2023 fifth round pick, actually two 2023 fifth round picks, and a 2023 fourth round pick as well. Also, Brandon Cooks and Tyler Lockett, both 30 years old and older. All for Pat
Yeah,
Fryermuth. I believe Pat Fryermuth is 24 and as an up and coming stud tight end on the Steelers.
and like I once
it was
again
a roster move.
I understand the rationale for Ricky. He needs to beef up his receivers to try to make a push again because he has to.
Yeah, he gets receivers in return, and he didn't have any draft picks prior to that trade.
Yep.
Those draft picks, he did take one of those draft picks and trade him to me in that pick we mentioned earlier. So he doesn't even have that pick anymore. He instead has a 2025 future fifth round pick instead. But at least he has draft capital on the books to play with next year after he has a win now team, which he definitely has now. So
Yep.
can't really talk trash about him at all, and I can see exactly what Malcolm's doing as well.
Yep.
Travis Kelsey's probably got 3, maybe 4 years left, and he's been a league winner for a long time. So yeah, he doesn't want to ever worry about tight end, and that's fair.
Yeah, and in all reality, from Ricky's perspective, like, how good is Pat Fryermuth going to be? Is he going to be a top 5 to 15 tight end? Like, it feels like every tight end you have, unless you have Travis Kelsey, Mark Andrews, unless you have one of those guys, that you feel like you have no consistency at that position. So like, would it, to me that's an easy risk to take, trading away a young guy like that. Even though I think he's going to be good, there's just a good chance he's mediocre.
Yeah, I think it could be a good chance, but I feel like I've seen on film enough to make me think that Malcolm is probably right in this
No, I
scouting.
I do too, but if you look at the way that position is, it's more likely he's not.
Yeah, I feel like the
Yeah.
Steelers, if any team historically can overcome bad quarterback play with just a really good tight end, I feel like the Steelers might be that team. I
Oh
feel like they've
yeah.
consistently done that, or those tight ends have consistently looked good even with bad quarterbacks. So I think Kenny Pickett, they might overcome Kenny Pickett there.
So much hate for Kenny Pickett.
Not hate, he may be a complete bust, the next Zach Wilson, so to speak.
Whoa,
Um,
whoa.
yeah, I mean, it looks like it could be that case though. Uh, Not to move us along, but I know want to get onto this draft.
Yep.
Last pick that I think is worth mentioning is another pick of mine with Fife again. That was DeAndre Swift. I gave up DeAndre Swift. I got a 2025 second round pick. I also got a 2023 fourth round pick and a 2023 third round pick, as well as a 2024 third round pick and a 2025 fourth round pick. So a lot of third and fourth round picks to go with the second round pick in 2025 for DeAndre Swift. Just a lot of draft capital. And now I do have a pretty ridiculous amount of draft capital, and I did clear up another roster spot for the drafting that I will be doing on the actual draft night.
And then Max and I had a trade where I moved up in the first,
Oh yeah,
he moved up in the second, and then I think I gave him a third as well.
yeah, that was
Most
exactly it. A
Mostly just
first, second, and
draft
third.
jockeying.
Yeah, you pretty much gave up a third to move up in the first, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had 3/3 already, so
Well, a lot of trades of draft picks made it so that we have a very different draft order than what it looked like it was going to be 4 months ago. But we have a pretty nice draft order now. Let's go run through that draft order real quick before we do a mock draft. We've got Let the Wookiee Win going number one. We got Tom Foolery going number two. We've got Nate, which is Trumpelo Bills, going three. We got Bill, Crab Legs to go, maybe. I don't remember what his name is. Reefer Madness now,
he'll be
going number
changing again
four.
probably. But yeah,
We got Tom Foolery going five again. We've got Potent going six. We've got Trumpelo Bills going back. I'm sorry. We have Eric going seven. Then Trumpelo Bills going back to back at 8 and 9. And then we've got you again, Let the Wookiee Win at 10. And then we have, what is his name now? My Ball, Zach Ertz going at 11. And we have Juju in your hoo hoo going at 12. So Max drops all the way from 2 to 12 in the first round.
Oh,
And yeah. So he did that last year too, by the way. Max did drop back to the end, not all the way to 12, but I think he dropped back to 8 or 9 to draft Jahan Dotson. And looked kind of
I
smart
like
on.
that. Never mind. Like that.
yeah. Say I think he picked later. I thought he picked at 12, but yeah, that's still a damn good pick at 12 or at 8. Like,
Well, let's see here. So we've got you going first, Chris. We've got myself going second and Malcolm going third. We're just going to go snake style, meaning that you go fourth, Chris. I go fifth. Malcolm goes sixth, and so on. We're going to do a one-round mock draft, and then we'll wrap
That's
this
not
show up.
snake.
What was the question?
That's not a snake draft.
yeah, no, it's not. I was just gonna let it ride, but yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
That's definitely
Well,
not
yeah.
secret. I apologize. But everybody on the call knows what I mean, so let's just move on.
Yeah, we're good.
Well, Chris, Let the Wookiee Win, number one. I guess you're probably going to give away the big secret here of who you're going to go in, who you're going to take there.
I
But
mean, I like that we're calling it a secret. I believe I've been very clear since probably the draft, the start of the season last year. But yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna take Bijan at one. That's an easy one, and hopefully he's the foundational piece I need for the next few years.
What a terrible pick.
so you were going to take Bijan 100 times out of 100 there. So
Yeah.
100% you were taking Bijan at number one and in our format.
I mean,
If
I'm
we have
I'm still
super flex league,
gonna petition the management of the league if they can just put him on my roster now, so we don't have to worry about me actually drafting him.
yeah, I mean, I'm going to immediately veto any sort of special treatment. You're not Donald Trump. We don't give special treatment around here.
He's
Um,
already on my team, so
so have we if we were a super flex league, would that still be no hesitation of Bijan Robinson?
correct.
Okay, so you're in that camp where
Yes.
nothing changes your mind. It's Bijan no matter what.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're at number two. Number two for me is a little tricky. I'm not gonna lie. I'm picking at six. So number two for me, I really just don't even care because I feel like two, three, four, or I feel like I know who those people are going to be, and they're not even on my radar. However, for the sake of this, I'm going to go ahead and assume that Jahmyr Gibbs is all that they are going to use him for. And I think he's going to get a lot of receptions, and I think that's going to make him the obvious choice for number two instead of Jackson Smith-Njigba. And that's just only because I don't really know. There's too much unknown for Jackson for me. I hear everybody telling me he's an absolute stud. I feel like I've been told that before, and they've been right. And at the same time, I feel like I've also heard situations in which people were wrong when they say that that guy is an absolute stud and he's going to be the best wide receiver in the draft class. And I've never really been in that camp thinking that he was going to be the obvious number two pick anyway. So Jahmyr Gibbs it is, and I leave it to Malcolm to draft JSN at number three.
All right, so I'm drafting for Nate, uh, and I will take Jackson Smith in Jigba. Question: name the last bad Ohio State receiver
Yeah.
drafted in the first round. I'll wait. No, I mean he. Listen, he's going to be the third receiver on the Seahawks. It's a tough beat for Nate because he needs a running back on his team. But in my opinion, he's getting the best receiver. He's going to be in a good spot, good quarterback. Going to be going against slot corners. Like, I don't know. Uh,
To me,
this
I
is the best I think he can do.
yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely the best receiver in the draft. So, like to me, that's an easy choice at three.
So knowing Nate's roster and what Malcolm just said is true,
Mm-hmm.
he needs a running back. He doesn't need wide receivers. Um, would that change your mind if you were Nate and Jahmyr Gibbs did go number two? Which honestly probably is very likely that Tom is going to take Jahmyr Gibbs at number two. Knowing Tom, I think we can all agree that's probably the most likely choice for him at number two, right?
I mean, I don't know, to be honest with you.
He could go Anthony Richardson for all I know. I have
Yeah,
no idea what Tom's going to do.
You feel who else do you think Tom is considering at number two?
Jackson Smith-Njigba, the only other person I think that you really should consider there.
So you don't think he's considering Anthony Richardson there at all?
I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying I wouldn't. To me, it's those two, and I'm probably taking the receiver over Gibbs just because I don't think Detroit cares who scores. They just want to figure out how to score. Um, so I don't. Yeah,
The only thing
he
I'll say
worries
about
me.
Jahmyr Gibbs that gives me pause is they signed Montgomery.
Yeah.
So I would short yard.
Well,
Uh,
Tom still
Mark,
if Tom has David Montgomery, it makes sense for him to take Jahmyr Gibbs.
He does have
well,
David
yeah, but
Montgomery.
are you gonna run? Are you gonna run two of the same running backs on the same team in a
He's
lineup?
not
Like, multiple
because
weeks?
he has Austin Eckler and Jonathan Taylor too.
I mean,
No,
if you had DeAndre Swift when he was healthy and Jamal Williams last year, you could have started both of them and it would have been fine.
Oh, I would have, and Malcolm
You know what I
proposed that
mean?
trade many times to me.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
I
So like,
tried.
there's no reason for me to think that that couldn't work again. And if
Yeah.
I don't know if his team is going to compete to win this year. I mean, as long as Taylor and Eckler are fine, I'm sure it will. But
Yeah, he's got Justin Herbert and AJ Brown and Kyle Pitts as well, and he also has Calvin Ridley. So
yeah,
I
so
think Tom
Njigba's
is definitely
very. I mean, honestly, if he needs someone who could be a number one, he's got other options at receiver he might take. But this is a mock draft.
well, I was just curious. I want to start that conversation. JSN went three. That brings you back to number four, Chris,
Yeah,
and
so
you're drafting for Bill.
yeah, it's kind of irrelevant to me who I'm drafting for in this because like this is still early enough where I think you take the best player that exists on the board. Um,
100% agree. However, I do think it will impact the draft regardless.
yeah, well, but I think I'm still gonna do something that other people probably wouldn't do here. Just 'cause I think he's gonna have more. He's gonna have an impact faster than the other person. But I would take Jordan Addison at 4.
Jordan Addison at 4.
I
Five
just
foot eight Jordan Addison.
I just really like
No,
his.
my number 2 receiver.
I really like his ability to get fucking open, and he can make catches over people he probably shouldn't sometimes. So like, yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Um,
I do like Jordan Addison as
and
well.
I like the fact that people are still gonna have to really do something other than have one guy on Justin Jefferson. So he's gonna have the ability to run free alone a lot.
Which is what he's best at.
And
He's
especially when
obviously
you
short,
and then you're gonna
not
have
super
T.J.
fast.
Hawkinson too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I just think that's a recipe for him to be good pretty fast.
And
They're kind of
KJ
sneaky,
Osborne
like
as well. KJ Osborne is solid.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying he's not, but like that's
Chris, have you looked at Bill's team?
not really. No.
I'm looking at it right now.
So am
So
I.
I kind of like his team actually.
Yeah.
Uh, I like his running backs actually a lot more than I thought. Anyways,
Yeah, I know he's got pretty good running backs.
I feel like he's either got to go receiver or quarterback. Like, why couldn't he go Anthony Richardson?
I mean, he could. I
And
just
just
don't think
say,
he will.
and just say,
He is a Florida alumni, but that also
Yeah,
might be
he's a
that
Gator
also
fan.
might
He
be
has
the
something to
exact
say.
reason why he doesn't want Anthony Richardson because he's seen him play.
you saw, yeah. Well, he doesn't have to pass, man. Tell the guy to
No,
run a little more. And like,
but
we
like
we
it.
just
But
work
if
with.
you just have if your quarterback was fucking Kyler Murray, would you be that excited to jump back into something like that? Because that doesn't seem
Well,
like.
this guy's 6'6" and not 5'4". It's like, yeah. It's
No,
like,
I get that. To me, I just think it's too early to take any quarterback in our league.
no. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm just looking at his actual team, and I'm like, man, he's kind of like a quarterback, a decent scoring quarterback away from like
I mean,
being very interesting to me.
at 204, there's a chance that he's going to have all but one quarterback available still.
Yeah,
True.
I think there's a good chance of that as well. But Anthony Richardson, I think, will definitely go in the top 8 or 9. I just don't know who's going to take him.
I don't know, man. But yeah, let's keep moving. Who's picking at 5?
Picking at 5 is me, and I'm going to take Tom into consideration on this one because I don't have this guy ranked as my third best wide receiver. However, it's Quentin Johnston, and it's because he has Justin Herbert. So
Yep.
he has the stack, and I think that's perfect for his future. And I think it's a slam dunk for Tom there.
So now Malcolm gets to pick for Lucas.
That's
Yeah,
sick.
sorry, I had to look at your team. So I looked at everyone's team a minute. All right, Lucas.
Well, I'm curious
He's
because
at 6.
you're looking at my team. You know I don't need wide receivers.
I mean, you don't. You're that big into Christian Watson and Juju?
Garrett
I mean,
Wilson.
Juju, I wasn't referring to Juju. I was referring to Christian Watson, Drake London, DJ Moore, and the GOAT, Garrett Wilson.
No, Garrett Wilson. No issues with. After that, I'm kind of iffy. Anyways, I'm gonna draft another receiver. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna actually maybe get a little. You know what though, Lucas? Screw it. We changed the mind. We're gonna actually go a little off the board here. We're gonna get you a running back, and we're going with Zach Charbonnet, the Seahawks running back.
I like it. I do project myself to very much be considering Zach Charbonnet at 6. And that's exactly the same reason I kind of alluded to earlier, was that I don't really need wide receivers, but I definitely need a running back.
Yeah, I really like watching his tape too, man. He's a fucking brick shit house that does not go down easily.
Yeah, he had really nasty tape. Some of the best tape I've probably seen of any player that I looked into when before the draft had started. I wanted to get an impression of certain players before the draft, and he was one of my favorites.
Well, he's also just in a really good situation where he's in a run first team, but has a really good offense.
Can
You know,
walk real good though.
He is, but if you're taking a running back in the second round, obviously, you want that guy to play. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be
that's fair.
interesting. I'm really interested to see how he progresses this year.
All right. Well, that leaves you at number 7, Chris, and you're drafting for Eric.
Eric has Jalen Hurts, doesn't he?
He does.
But I mean, I'm
That's
gonna go back to the same thing I keep saying. Like, you should draft who the best player on the board is. So it's still there's still I think we're still in the group of people where like there's certain guys that you just should draft if they're available because they're I think better than everyone else. Um, so yeah, I 100% would take Zay Flowers at 7 if I'm him if he's still there
yeah.
because I
I
just
I almost took him for Lucas. That's who I
he's
was gonna take.
he's just very fucking good.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been had any problem with Zay Flowers there either. Definitely a big fan of him too. So moving to 208, and that is Nate's second pick, and he's got back-to-back picks here. So for 208 for Nate here, he doesn't need a quarterback because he's still hoarding 2 quarterbacks that he drafted in the same year from 5 seasons ago, and he has Patrick Mahomes. Um, he just drafted, and the third pick of the draft, he drafted JSN from Malcolm. So I think Nate would look here at different positions, possibly Dalton Kincaid. And I think I like Dalton Kincaid here for Nate. He's a Bills fan. I think it's gonna be hard for him to pass up Dalton Kincaid there at number 8.
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid's one of those. He's a question mark on what he's going to be there, but like if it's the positive end of that, like yeah, that could be awesome.
Yeah, the only other player I would think about taking there for him would be Devin A. Chain. I can see Nate just really betting on the upside there and hoping that he ends up being like a next freak athlete, Tyreek Hill style, but from the running back position where he's just going to score an absurd amount of points. And I think you go with the upside there, especially on a Dolphins team with that much speed all around him.
Yeah, because that guy in that backfield, the only thing that throws a wrench in that is if Dalvin Cook ends up there, then maybe you're not as excited.
Yeah,
They
there's too
drafted
many
him
running
earlier, but
backs.
I don't think they're
but
going to do that.
yeah, and they have too
There's
much
too many
money.
running backs in Miami
And I think they have too
already,
much.
though.
I think they have too much confidence in the running backs down there too to pay anything they don't want to pay for Dalvin Cook.
Agreed. They need to focus on other things other
Yeah.
than the offense after that. Well, that leaves you at the second back-to-back picks for Nate at number 9.
So Nate really needs running backs. That's just what he needs to do.
Yeah,
However, I'm like Chris. I want the best player available. And Quentin Johnson is not the.
Quentin Johnston's already gone.
Yeah, he went at 5.
Oh, he did take it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he went at 5 from to Tom.
Okay. No problem. So then, what I'm gonna do if I'm Nate, that I'm gonna potentially reach a little bit, but I'm gonna take Keandre Miller, who's on the Saints. And the
Okay.
reason I'm taking him is the Melvin Kamara
Yeah, I think that's a
news
good
that
pick.
hasn't come out yet. I just listen. I don't think Alvin Kamara is going to be on the Saints for that much longer. So you might as well try to get in a running back who could potentially have the starting job this year for at least the beginning of the season, and who potentially could be the starter moving forward. And Nate's got too many receivers at this point, so that's where I'm going.
Yeah, I think that would make Nate's first round picks really awesome. I think he'd walk away real happy
Oh
thinking he
yeah.
has a playmaker in like tight end, wide receiver, and running back too. Possible 3 future starters that could be game changers for him at every position. I think Nate had an excellent draft if we draft for him here in this scenario.
Yeah. No, if this is the way it works out for him, he's got to be happy.
Very happy. Well, that leaves you at your pick again, Chris, at number 10.
At this point, you kind of have to roll the dice, and I haven't been settled at quarterback ever, and I would probably just take Anthony Richardson here, and
Yeah,
see what fucking happens. Since I pick at 201 anyways, I'm kind of fine with like 5 different guys getting taken in this area now. I just think he's the only one that has the potential to be the reason I win a league at some point or win the league at some point. And the rest of the guys left here, I don't think can do that. So
Yeah, with Jalen Hurts in everybody's mind and all wanting to have him on their team right
Yeah.
now, I would imagine, yeah, and even Justin Fields now at this point. We
Mhm.
like last year, I think we'd all want to have him on our team right now too,
Yeah,
despite
and
all of us having probably okay quarterbacks that we could probably roll with. I think we all want to upgrade to that player like that. And I think Anthony Richardson, it might be at the very least just that.
yeah. And then like if it wasn't for the fact that I had Hawkinson, I probably would think Michael Mayer here, but it feels hard to pass up
Do you think
Richardson.
Michael Mayer will go in the first round for real?
It's possible, but I don't think so. No.
You think Michael Mayer will go before Sam Laporta?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay,
definitely.
interesting. Sam Laporta was drafted higher, and that's why I asked that question. But I also feel the same way. I was kind of shocked they took Laporta over Mayer, because Mayer has a history of just being a stud, having the nickname Little Gronk. That should say a lot about the player.
Yeah.
Well, that puts me at 11. 11 is your dad. Your dad has Josh Allen at quarterback, so there was never a question about him caring about Anthony Richardson there. He does have Travis Etienne and James Conner as his 1-2 punch. Jalen Waddle, Chris Godwin, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram. Doesn't Terry McLaurin. Doesn't have a lot of depth at running back though. He's got George Pickens on his bench. He's got Alan Lazard, Paris Campbell, Darius Slayton on his bench. Got a lot of wide receiver depth. He's got a lot of shots at running back though. I think he's got to go running back here. I think he takes Devin A. Chain.
Yeah. And I think A Chain is one of those. I I just worry about him long term. Is he going to be good for 3 to 5 years? Because that's when I need him to be good. But for my dad, I think he'll be fine this year.
I like
Yeah,
the
I think.
like the team
Sorry.
run. Sorry. Yeah, I just don't like the team run. A lot of mouths to feed in Miami. I don't like the unclear backfield situation, but the player himself is amazing. Like he's a stud. So at pick 11, you get a player who could potentially be a league winner at some point. Yeah, take it.
Well, that's you at number 12, Malcolm, and that is Max.
Oh, jeez. So Max should be picking at number 2. So he should probably have Gibbs on his team, but he's picking at 12. Uh, Max has a really good history of receivers. He took Dotson last year, whatever pick 8. He took Justin Jefferson a couple
Yeah,
years ago, which we all laughed at. So I'm
yeah,
gonna just get him a receiver because he's good
yeah.
at
He
that.
took Justin Jefferson what 5 picks earlier than we thought he would.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was surprising that he picked him as early as he did. It was like second or third pick in the draft. Yeah,
I don't think it was that high, but it was high enough that we were all like, "What are you doing, man?" And yeah, he's kind of good. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna take a receiver. I'm gonna give him ugh, probably Jonathan Mingo, the receiver for the Panthers out of UNC.
I like that
He's a
the
little
way you said that. Probably Jonathan Mingo.
yeah. Who else were you looking at then?
honestly, personally for me, I really like Jaden Reed, the receiver out of Michigan State who went to the Packers.
Yeah,
But I know some people like Marvin Mims, the receiver out of Oklahoma. I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm too versed in him, and I'm trying not to have any Broncos, just in general.
Well, then
But
you've got
that,
Rasheed Rice, who's just in Kansas City, so you got to at least look or think about that.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Tajay Spears too. I know there's a lot of hype on Tajay Spears, a lot of hype on Roshan Johnson.
All
Or
those.
if Max wants to go quarterback, he could have done that. I'm
Yeah,
big
he
Chris
could he could go
quarterback.
Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud there.
Yeah.
I would love to get CJ Stroud there. That would be at 112. That is a perfect spot to take CJ Stroud, in my opinion. Bryce Young might have better weapons, though.
I just think
Rushing this might be better, but
I
yeah.
just seeing how small Bryce Young is terrifies me. I want no part of that.
Yeah, I mean the draft capital usually indicates that person's probably at least going to get a much bigger leash there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't think any players that I know that people are probably thinking about in the same spot real quick. I know Tajay Spears, I just mentioned him. Sam Laporta, Michael Mayer, Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt's on the Giants. Josh Down on the Colts. Cedric Tillman on the Browns. Michael Wilson on the Cardinals. Luke Musgrave on the Packers. And then Tank Bixby on the Jaguars. To mention all the players we just talked about as well out loud. But yeah, that was a solid mock draft. Who do you guys think came away from that draft the most I guess confident is the word we'll use here. Is it Nate or is it Chris and Y?
It's Chris because he had the first pick. He got arguably the best player. So when I had that draft where I had Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook, I could have drafted like the rest of my draft be Malcolm Priest, and I would have been like I had the best draft. I'm the two studs. Like what are we talking about?
I agree, Malcolm.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The year you're referring to. You did go back and actually have a pretty solid draft afterwards, though. Looking at it,
I don't even remember who I drafted, but yeah, if you get like if Bijan is a Christian McCaffrey s type running back, then yeah, that's a franchise turnaround right there, like instantly.
Yep, that's the hope. That's what I lost all those fucking games for.
well, I think that's the end of our draft, end of our show. Then, anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap things up? I think it's about 40 minutes or so.
Water cooler talk.
Water cooler talk. Yes, do it. So I got nothing. So what do you got for water cooler talk? Let's do it.
I don't really have shit either, to be honest with you.
So
Yeah.
who's the dark horse to actually be much better than the way they look roster wise right now? Like who's gonna make their roster look better from the draft and then from picking up players in free agency?
Um, that's a weird question, actually. Hold on, let me think about this. I don't know if I can tell you for the draft. I can tell you what team I'm looking at, um, and kind of being like that team. A couple moves here could be good, could be really good. Is like I said, I kind of like Bill's team. If he can figure out his quarterback impact player,
Yeah.
um, and Tom could have a really good comeback just based off draft capital and the team he already had. So that's who I'm kind of looking out for.
Yeah, I think it's Tom too. I think I know I don't want to see him genuinely get that much better, but I think that he might make himself that much better for the future as well. He's already pretty young to begin with, and I think he's just going to get a little bit younger. And I think he'll probably be quick on the waiver wire as well to answer that second part of that question. I think he'll probably make his team even better. Yeah, I got nothing else, man. Whatever else you guys want to talk about.
Probably call it.
Yeah, that should be it.
Well, it's been another edition of Dynasty Talk Podcast. I think we're going to do another show before the draft. I think that we've mentioned that before. I'm not sure if we have that ironed out, but I do have some ideas for that draft. But we'll see you guys all next time. I'm Potent. That's Let the Wookiee Win and Fly Society. This has been Dynasty Talk Podcast.
Good day.
Peace.